penultimate session this afternoon, and this is another case study, and this time it's from Plymouth University, who used their students' knowledge and experience to develop and implement technology solutions. So here to tell us about that and its outcomes, please welcome the University's Associate Professor of Learning Technologies, Steve Wheeler. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Jane. Well, good afternoon. I tend to walk around a lot, so
feel free.
Let's see if I can get this going. Oh, we've got a clicker as well. Nice to see you all. Twice as many people as there were last year. Last year it was supposed to be a summit, and it turned out to be more like a foothill, you know? 3 people and their dog, I think, were here. And, it's nice to see so many here. And,
they've come back to see you.
They've come back for more punishment. But this is really a story that I don't want to tell, so I'm going to give my students a chance to tell this. I'll start by painting the picture for you, and then I'm going to show you several videos that I made with several students, 3 in particular who will feature. And one of them is actually here in the audience. This is Tyler, who we'll see. Go on, give her a hand. She's come a long way. Bravely travelled up on the bus overnight, so I don't think she got much sleep. But anyway, first thing I want to show you is, oh, here we go, see if I can get this right. First thing I want to show you is this traditional picture of what people think higher education looks like. And I suppose you have to agree with me, if you're in higher education, that often you do see this still. Yeah, would you agree? But it seems to be dying out here. What seems to be taking its place is this. Blinded by Apple, you know, it's a kind of what I'm trying to show here is that this is about personal winners on the road. They're still in their large groups. We still teach large groups of students. I've got one group of students that's 183 in number. And what do you do with 183 students in a raked, tiered lecture theatre? Lots of things you can do, but one of the things that's happening now is that things are changing because they now have these personal tools. And they can do all sorts of things with these that go beyond the traditional learning paradigm, if you like. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but what I'm going to do is show you a first video where the students were asked this question and then responded, and hopefully we'll see this on, well, it will work earlier on. This is where you have to have plan B. Here we go.
The way that seems to work is that teachers provide a lot of the input and then we kind of respond to that, but going to university has kind of changed the way that's done in that it's a very much collaborative thing, so students obviously have a very strong voice in their own learning, and as well as teachers providing input, students can then question teachers as well, and lecturers, for example, on Twitter. That's a very good social network for having conversations on the back of what we've done in lectures and seminars. So I think that's a very more rounded learning process.
Personally, I always bring my iPad to seminars and lectures because I'm able to bring up the PowerPoint, which is always made possible on our student portal, which is really useful because it holds all the information on the notes from the seminars and lectures. So I always bring that up and make notes actually on the PowerPoint, so I've always got that saved. And I always use Evernote as well because I found that especially during my assignments I can just search all of the documents, all of the pictures that I've taken, particular keywords, and I can find information to be able to put it in afterwards.
Normally to a lecture I bring my phone, I bring my iPad, I bring my laptop, and then I have like Twitter open on my phone, and have the PowerPoint open on my laptop, I see the PowerPoint doing the lecture, and then I have on my iPad I have just like going through Google the lecture saying, and constantly find extra things on the lecture so I know what's going on. More so than what's actually involved in the lecture.
So they're finding out more of what's going on than they would in just a normal lecture is what the message is there. What they're doing, in effect, is they're creating these I suppose, hashtags and back channels that allow them to amplify their ideas outside the classroom. And what they're doing really is learning by doing. So where's the slideshow on this? Down the bottom, I'll use that one, the shortcut. Here we go. So they're learning by doing, which I suppose is Piaget's own theory of constructivism, isn't it? But they're doing more than that. What they're doing is they're also learning by making. And a lot of the projects they do involve the tools they bring in with them. So they're actually changing things by the tools they bring in. It wouldn't be possible without the tools that they bring in, because, to be perfectly frank with you, what most students find being provided by the institution is not adequate for them. So the virtual learning environment, a lot of them shun it and move away from it because they find it easier to use other things that they're more familiar with. And you'll see as we go through the videos later on that that's exactly the voice that they make. I often quote Seymour Papert at this point. You've probably heard of him as the inventor of Logo, the programming language. And he's, I suppose, the guy that's behind constructionism, learning by making and learning by building. And he says he's convinced that students learn better when they actually take control, when they actually are in charge of their learning, when they become more autonomous. And I think we'll see in the way that they create their own personal learning networks and the way they create their own personal learning environments, that's exactly what they're doing. They're making choices themselves. We don't tell them what they do, they just do it, and then we tend to incorporate that into our lessons. So often, as Tyler will attest to, I will have something like a Twitter wall in the background as we're talking, and that will come tweets from the students themselves, which I will then retweet and amplify to my followers. And often you'll get people coming in from outside who are watching these hashtags to see what's going on in the classroom. They may be interested for professional reasons or just out of curiosity. And some of these people are actually quite well-known educators. I had, on one occasion, with one student group, they actually tweeted out a question about a particular author. That particular author happened to follow me, and I tweeted it out, and lo and behold, he responded on the screen. And you should have seen their faces. They said, "Is that really who you think it is?" I said, "Yes, it is." And they were absolutely motivated then to engage with him about the work that they were reading, which was one of the recommended texts. So this pays extra dividends, really. This is a kind of a sideways, or learning by stealth, if you like, through the tools that they're bringing with them. And it's also about what Aaron, the last student that was talking about, crowdsourcing your knowledge, actually bringing in knowledge from outside. I think it's Deborah Stevenson who actually talks about storing our knowledge with our friends. There is a kind of a controversial theory that we don't need to learn everything anymore. We don't need to memorize everything anymore. We just need to know where to find that knowledge when we need it. And that's what these PLMs tend to do. This is what students are using them for. And I've observed them many times actually doing that. So the next question I asked them was, how have you used your own technology to enhance that learning? And hopefully it will work this time. Here we are.
It's progressed through my first year, but it's specifically different from school life because I'm able to use Twitter in lectures, for example, and there's always a stream going on in the background of all of our students are talking to each other, and also sometimes the lecturers who are presenting are answering my questions at the same time as actually presenting, which is really useful because for me, if I hear something, sometimes I'll forget it quite quickly, but if it's there on Twitter, I can always get back to that hashtag later. I know it will be there and I can